In Japan, there exists an art form like no other in the world, the art of using living things. So I've came here to Omiya Bonsai Art Museum in Saitama to explore the world of bonsai. So come with me, let's find out more.
Bonsai represents the craft of transforming nature into art, enjoyed in homes, exhibitions, or historically as symbols of status and wealth throughout Japan.
My name is Harry Turton. I am a coordinator for international relations here at the Omiya Bonsai Art Museum. This museum was opened in 2010 by Saitama City with the hopes of spreading bonsai and bonsai culture with people all around the world.
Bonsai ultimately is a representation of patience, with artists requiring years or even decades before considering their pieces complete as bonsai. Even then, the trees themselves, of course, require continuous care. This is not your typical housewarming gift.
What is bonsai? To me, little trees.
Well, that's mostly accurate, really. There's a misconception with some people that bonsai are special type of trees that have been maybe modified to be small, but this isn't true at all. Bonsai can be in any type of tree just grown into a small pot. So when you grow a tree into a small pot, it restricts the growth of it, which stops it from growing too big, and it'll maintain that bonsai shape. And so they're meant to be these small trees in pots that are meant to look like a large tree that you would find in nature. A lot of people love the maple trees because they go bright red in the autumn. But for many bonsai artists, they actually prefer the maples in the winter when they've lost all their leaves. You can see all of the very delicate branches then on the tree, which then lets you see all of the work that's been put into the bonsai through pruning. And so you can kind of see the skill of the artist that worked onto it once it's all become bare. So with bonsai, when people enter our museum, we want to teach them how to properly view and appreciate the tree. Part of that is imagining what the tree is meant to be. So bonsai are supposed to be trees in the wild, compressed into a small pot. And so the best way to view a tree as it would be in the wild would actually be to look at the bonsai from down below looking up. And with that, it looks like a large tree in the wild opens up into your vision.
And you really get to see more of the artist's work this way as well.
You do, especially with the branches, yes. A famous bonsai artist known as Yamada Tomio, he has a famous phrase which translates to something like, masterpieces have neither a front nor a back. So bonsai are designed to have a front and a back, which you're meant to crouch down and look at from. But he says some trees may not have a front or a back, so you can view them however you want. It's a style of bonsai called a chokkan, meaning a formal upright bonsai. So it's just a tree that has a very vertically rising trunk. It's one of my favorite styles of bonsai as it's very easy to understand. Though of course some species are more suited to it than others. So you see a lot of like cedar trees as these chokkan.
Like any piece of art, bonsai can be representative of an artist's vision, manipulating branches in a way that signifies something as mythical and mysterious as a dragon, life and death itself, or even replicating famous works of art in tree form.
This bonsai is a favourite amongst many of our foreign visitors. Now, it's meant to look like something. Can you imagine what it looks like?
I shouldn't read it, I presume.
Yes, did you read it?
No, I didn't.
Okay, you shouldn't read it.
I'll also give you, the viewer at home, a second to try and think of the answer yourself. Lock in your answers and comment below what you think the tree is representing.
A wave?
Yes.
Is it really?
That's it, it's a wave. So the name of this bonsai is Hokusai, named after Katsushika Hokusai, the artist behind the very famous wave picture, the one with Fuji in the background. So you might have seen a lot of our maple trees. They have this very firm-looking root base here. It kind of spreads out. Mm-hmm. In Japanese, we call this a bankon, or a rock-like root base. This is actually usually created by placing the bonsai or a small tree into a field, and then placing a slate underneath it, and then the roots will grow out over the slate to create this very spread out pattern, and then they'll place them back into a pot.
Bonsai manipulation is a very delicate practice. Daily maintenance of the tree is vital. To begin with, sufficient water must be given to the tree, of course. It is a plant, after all, but the care required trumps your typical household decoration. Fertilizer, wiring, water multiple times a day, and in some cases, even chipping away at the roots or the body of the tree to put it into that perfect shape.
Bonsai artists will use this wiring here, usually a copper or aluminium wiring on the branches mostly. They'll probably leave the wiring on for a few months at a time. So bonsai has a history of its thought around 2,000 years. It started in China, which not a lot of people know. So the first evidence we have of bonsai is from around 1,300, 1,400 years ago, where we find in ancient China, we see a picture on a wall of an emperor and his retainers, and one of the retainers is holding a very small pot, holding a bonsai. And so it's thought this is from the earliest evidence we have, but it's thought it has a history of a few hundred years longer than this. And then a few hundred years after that, it came over here to Japan, and then it kind of developed in a different way in China and here in Japan. This bonsai tree was actually owned by a former Prime Minister of Japan, Omiya Shigenabu, who was the 8th Prime Minister of Japan, and also the founder of Waseda University.
How old's the oldest tree?
In our collection?
In your collection?
1,000 years old.
1,000 years old?
Without looking, see if you can guess.
Okay.
It's one of these.
No, I'm thinking that one or this one.
So place your bets. Which one do you think?
I'm more thinking that one.
Okay, well you were nearly right. It was the one on the right. Yes. This is an Ezo spruce, which is 1,000 years old. It was found we believe in the Taisho period of Japan, so around 90 to 100 years ago in the wild, and so it was taken around 100 years ago and turned into a bonsai then. This bonsai is natural. These trees are naturally found around the Hokkaido area of Japan, so up north in Japan, where it's a lot colder than it is here.
At the time of recording this, Japan's weather was rather peculiar. After having a brief stint of autumn, Japan decided it was time to revert suddenly to spring for a short period, leading to things not exactly going to plan.
And because of that, some of the trees got a bit confused about what time of year it was. So this crabapple, it lost all of its leaves, a lot of it through pruning, but it has all of its fruit right now, as it would do usually in the autumn. It started to blossom with flowers in some parts. This is a very rare sight here.
I don't know if that's fantastic or sad.
Unfortunately, the tree will be quite weak next year, we assume, so we're not going to display it probably.
At first glance, it is easy to assume that the bonsai is all about the tree's shape. While this is a significant aspect of what makes bonsai bonsai, a lot more thought can go into the presentation other than the tree itself.
This is an example of a rock-grown bonsai, or an ishitsuki bonsai. So you can see that the bonsai is grown into a rock here. So this gives it a very, very natural look. The ishitsuki will actually have less soil in than the regular bonsai, so they have to be watered more often. So part of the objectives of this museum would be to promote bonsai, so that then they can then take that knowledge and bring it to the Bonsai Village, and so they can understand all of the bonsai they have there and know how to fully appreciate them. Nearby the museum we have the Omiya Bonsai Village, which was opened in 1925 by a number of bonsai artists who came mostly from the Tokyo area, as they needed a place where they could create their bonsai in a very nice, clean environment, as Tokyo at the time was becoming more polluted due to industrialization. And in 1923 there was the Great Kanto earthquake, which set a lot of Tokyo ablaze. So they saw that as a good opportunity to move out of Tokyo. And so they chose Omiya, as the air at the time was very, very clean, had clean water, and it had very good soil, which was good for bonsai. And so many bonsai artists opened up bonsai gardens in this area, and today we still have around 6 bonsai gardens which people can freely enter. So we have around 160 in our collection, and what we have on display will change all the time depending on the condition of the bonsais and also the season that it is.
I would like to humbly thank the Omiya Bonsai Art Museum for their help with this video. I initially went into this with very little knowledge of bonsai, and thanks to Harry I was able to learn so much more, and I left with a new perspective and respect into the art form. If you have time for a little quiet trip to the museum and neighbouring Bonsai Village, I highly recommend visiting to appreciate these unique works of art. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Do you grow any bonsai yourself?
I've killed all bonsai I've grown, so I don't practice what I preach.
We can cut that if you want.
No, you can keep that if you don't mind.